a meeting that we were on that was really important overran. So we weren't able to read. We've been on meetings back to back, and we weren't able to read in some of the messages that Sammy and Colleen had sent. So I do apologise. You were asking me about 1,000 questions. I'm like, I can't answer all those in one go. But we will. Simon and I will have a look at that, and we'll get back to you both ASAP. And I know, Jane, you want a quick 10 minutes with us after the AMA anyway. So
so we are live now, so we can you can go through a bit of an update. Yeah.
Okay. Where to start? I'll just start on comedy clubs. Simon and I have got some time built in this week, sorting a proposal out for Off the Curb with Russell Kane to go into one of the Metaverses on a special show. We've also got time booked in this week to sort some stuff out with the app. So that's all sort of progressing nicely. But the big news is that Simon and I have committed to going to Miami NFT week. So we've booked the flights. We've been talking with the team there. So we will be at Miami NFT week. We're just trying to sort out a booth and some other stuff around that. So that's the big news, really, which I think is really, really positive. Do you want to add anything around that, Simon? I think it's, there's a lot for us to do in that time on the run-up to that. It's going to be really busy. And over the next couple of weeks, Simon and I will be putting a plan together with the wider team on how that's going to work with Joke and some of the other bits as well. So, yeah, it's exciting to be going out there.
Yeah, it's not, we can't commit to a booth at this point because the booth is horrendously, eye-wateringly expensive.
Yeah.
Like you wouldn't believe. I'm sure people would when it's got 5 figures rather than 4, it starts getting a bit painful. Anyway, we're going to do our best to get a discount based on we want to stand on stage and talk about the project it's one of the objectives of going out there. We will obviously get to meet a lot of important people, and some of the people that we want to meet are involved in venture capital. So, really we've told everyone here that many times it is the ambition to take this project to a global level, and we can't do that with the handful of people that we've got at the moment. We need a massive team, we need funding, we need equipment, we need marketing money, we need all sorts, right? To go to that next level, but that's what a venture capital firm is for. So I think a lot of people will then realise once we're out there and they see us and they actually get a feel for the project, and we've done a deal with, or are in the process in the last couple of days of putting together a deal which could just explode the project like you wouldn't believe anyway. But that deal isn't done yet, so we'll keep you informed on that one as things develop. But that could bring us an audience of tens of thousands without any marketing money. So keep your fingers crossed on that one, and it's more than your fingers crossed because it's just nearly the case of signing on the dotted line. So there's something really big coming on that front. Again, we won't overpromise. We don't announce things that aren't going to come to fruition. So once we actually get pen to paper and that happens, then we'll be able to bring a lot more people into the project without any marketing money. I've got meetings with Polygon and P2B next week. Their main people are away at the moment, so I've had to make that for next week, but that'll set everything up in terms of the contract and the launch and the other avenues that we're going to launch through as well, because it won't be exclusively through P2B. I'm speaking to the devs about the contract. The launch phase will be as we see it from April the 1st, so makes it April Fool's Day. Bit of a joke, we'll go with that. The actual launch will not be during Miami NFT week because that's a massive opportunity for us to bring a lot more people into the project, and we don't want to launch with people standing on the sidelines. We want to launch with a massive whitelist and people that are clamouring to get into the project. So that will be the first step of the launch phase. The marketing then will continue through the first couple of weeks of April, and all being well towards the end of April. So that's when we're looking at currently. A lot of it obviously depends on the market, you guys know that, and we want to see a stable market and a condition to launch into anyway. So let's all keep our fingers crossed that if anything happens, in terms of the market damping down again, it may well be, I think if we see it, it's going to be end of February, during March anyway, so we could well catch it absolutely perfectly. But as I say, keep your fingers crossed, because nobody knows. We could still be going sideways in April, May, who knows. But yeah,
what we will. Sorry, Simon. What we will do over the course of the next probably 10 days, and we'll be firming out exactly what's happening with Miami NFT Week and what's going on. We will of course let everybody know in more detail, kind of like a mini roadmap from sort of next week up until launch. There'll be maybe a few shifting things, but we'll probably put a bit of a mini roadmap together, Simon, so everybody's aware of what's happening and what we're aiming for, which I think will be good for the community and other people who are interested in the project.
Yeah, so look, Miami's happening. We will be over there. Anyone who wants to come and meet us, you are more than welcome. We will, on another note, be running a couple of masterclass sessions, which will be on the crypto side and forex trading in the couple of days that are after the NFT week festival. So we'll still be there on the Tuesday, Wednesday. We come home on the Thursday that week, which I think is, correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, I think it's the 6th of April. But yeah, if anyone wants to meet us there, we're there from, what is it, the 28th to the 6th?
Yeah, my sheet's in the other room actually. Oh no, it's not. It's we fly out on Wednesday the 29th and we fly back on Thursday the 6th. So we're going to be in Miami for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5 days, depending on flight time. So yeah, there's going to be plenty of opportunity to see people at Miami NFT Week and a bit before and afterwards as well. So it'd be good to bump into some old faces again and say hi, have a drink and catch up and a laugh as well, have some fun.
I don't know whether Dranko wants to come onto stage. I can invite him on if he's free. Maybe he's just listening. There he is. Hey man, you there?
What's going on, guys?
He's got the kiddos.
Well, I got all three of them down there.
Congratulations!
Thanks, man. Thank you very much.
Well, I'm genuinely hoping we get to meet you and press the flesh in Miami if you're around. You're not a million miles away, are you?
Well, you're going to Florida the one time I'm not down there. I'm up in Ohio.
Oh no, that's a shame. But
I know.
Maybe we'll take a rain check.
Oh, for sure. Most definitely. I'm glad to see you guys are going down there, though. I think you have a great time.
Have you been to it before?
I have not. I plan on attending quite a few. I would say probably the second half of this year. But I think it's probably no better time to get out there than right now.
Yeah, it's not. I've not been to that one before because I've only been to the States once before. But it should be a busy event, right?
Oh, most definitely busy. I'm very curious to see, because it is, somewhat of a bear market right now. I don't think there's going to be as much excitement and partying, although it is Miami. I would love to see, I would like to think that there's going to be a lot of real builders, people who are committed to the space, but I could be wrong. I don't know.
Well, let's hope we can get a booth and get a lot of people to talk to, and obviously get a lot of people lined up for the whitelist and excited about the project. That's the big thing that we've got to make happen. And Andy, I think you should be the one to tell everybody what we've done in our own business life, because that's really a major announcement for this community, right?
It's been a bit of a watershed time for Simon and myself, particularly for myself. As you know, many of you know, we run a YouTube agency in the UK and the States. I I think the whole marketing scene's been very, very, very difficult this last few years. And we've taken the decision that, and you know, towards the end of the month, we're going to be kind of stepping back from that a little bit, and you know, focusing on the Joke project and the 10x stuff, which kind of links together really well. So everybody's aware, you know, we are really committed to making Joke work. So much so that we're simplifying things out, which I think was the right decision to do. So yeah, it's all in now.
We're pushing. We've pushed all the chips across the line. This is where we're going.
Yeah.
Right? That's what's happening. So, yeah, I think it was a big moment for Andy this week to take a realisation that he and I were going to take a step back from running that agency and put the majority of our time into this project and the 10x project. And I know I haven't seen everybody over in 10x just yet. And if you do want to come and learn, and you are a VIP, that you're obviously, you know, that's a free community for you to be a part of. We are on it live 3 or 4 times a week. There are educators from across the globe. There's going to be people joining from all over the world, many different countries, backgrounds and expertise from master traders across the world, people who are trading tens, hundreds of millions of dollars. So, you know, do come and learn. And I know, you know, there are people in the audience that I recognise that have been spending time in there while it is still in beta. You know, it's already got, I think, about 120, 130 members. It's just in its infancy, but it is, the feedback that we are getting is incredible. You know, that people are genuinely saying it's the best training that they've seen in the space. And if you want to come and learn and understand how you can make money from, you know, an educational standpoint, this is not, you know, not me saying you will make money. This is come along and learn what people are doing to make money in a market when assets are going sideways, up, down, any which way. You know, and we've had a really good time, Andy, haven't we? We've been making money every session so far. Touch wood. We've been showing people how they can get their hands on funded accounts, you know, and in not significant amounts. And look, we genuinely want to help people on that side make a really good income. You know, I've got people talking to me. One of the guys I was talking to today is already thinking of going full-time trading, you know, and that's jumping from a full-time job into a brand new career. Trading assets that, you know, that market, that Forex market, has $6.5 trillion a day traded through it. There's, you know, it's not, well, what James at FMO said to you something about it's not hard to take $1 million or $2 off the top very regularly, didn't he, Andy?
That's what he said when he was stood on stage. You know, I mean, to remind people, I think Forex is 6.6 trillion a day, which is just insane. And he said, you know, it's not beyond the realms of, you know, craziness to take a few million out daily as a collective group of people. And he's not wrong, you know, it's small stuff in a very, very big ocean. So, but I think that the exciting thing is Simon and I have been looking at trading Bitcoin, well, we have been, against the US dollar, obviously, because we've got a love for crypto as well. So without holding Bitcoin, we're actually doing quite well from not holding it and trading it. And we think we've got some really interesting ways of doing that that have worked really well for us. And I think, you know, that whole 10x community, I think people were a bit worried why we were doing it and why we got involved. But a lot of the people we're involved with are partners in the Joke project and other stuff that we're doing. The two things are entwined because a lot of what we talk about on here in terms of education around crypto and metaverse stuff and, you know, NFTs and all those kind of things, we kind of shared in our learnings of what we've done. There's a lot of other people involved in it who've got loads of experience in different parts as well. So it's just great as a community to share that knowledge, really, and we can all help each other. I think this is important to say, not only make money, but also have the right mindset around it. So I think it is an exciting time, and there'll be a lot of crossover between the Joke community and that community. I think there'll be a lot of other communities join it as well. So that'll also drive interest into Joke and other projects as well. So yeah, it's exciting times. It's really, really good. And it's good to be focusing on a couple of things rather than 50 which I think is a breath of fresh air for Simon and myself, because we've had a really busy year and a half, 2 years, and the decisions we've taken this week do mean we can focus now on 2 clear projects and really make them work, which I think is really good.
I'm just going to check if guys, if you've got questions, please do bring them up in the chat session while we're live, because I don't really like coming on and answering questions on a text basis, because if somebody puts a question into Discord during the week, the trouble is if I answer it and there's any misconception as to what I've said, you can't hear the tone of my voice, you can't understand the other things that are going around that question if it's just typed out, right? And somebody could misconstrue something, and we don't want that. We want, if you've got questions, please come and ask them during the sessions. That's what we're here for, right? And as we build up to the relaunch and the next phase of this project and moving through into how DeFi is going to evolve, that's what's exciting us, right? That's what's going to make a big difference. But we do rely on you. We rely on you guys, because you're going to be here to steer people in the right direction when we start getting the hundreds and thousands of people coming into this Discord and our other communities, running around like headless chickens, because that's what's going to happen when we bring, tens of thousands of people. That's what's going to happen with the launch. So we need you guys to understand exactly and be our eyes, ears and voices. So please, if you have got questions while we're in here, ask them, type them into that AMA live chat. Travelling Tom Dealey says, now that you've got fewer irons in the fire, those few irons get hotter faster. Yeah, well, that is the aim. That is what we're here to do. That's why we are pushing all in on Joke, right? We are pushing all in on 10x. Those 2 projects are what we will be running with full steam ahead over the next 3 to 6 months, and I don't see any reason whatsoever why we cannot be one of the biggest and most famous and exciting projects in the whole of DeFi and Web3 this year. We should be one of the very first to drive significant revenue, which is something that we shouldn't take lightly, because there's very few, if any, projects in this space that are driving real world revenue into their NFT and token holders. One of the questions I got in the week was, how are the tokenomics going to shape up? And it is going to be a fact that the token holders and the NFT holders will be rewarded with that sponsor and advertising revenue, alongside people that are getting paid to watch, the clubs, the comedians and charities as well. Smart contract will bear the load and actually distribute those funds. It's most likely that the token has a buyback and burn mechanism, so that rather than me having to, or the contract having to distribute revenue across hundreds, thousands of wallets, the value then is intrinsically linked to that buyback and burn mechanism, which comes from a percentage of those sponsors and advertisers. The app that we will have ready, touch wood, for definitely for the launch, but touch wood for Miami NFT week, because we want to be able to show that to venture capital firms. That is the vehicle which will bring the millions of views to the sponsors that will then be sponsoring that content. We have meetings already with the people who are going to provide the sponsors, so it's not like we have to worry. We've just got to generate the views, right? And we've now got people like Russell Kane on board, and TCG, and the ability then to be able to show that showcase events to tens of thousands of people. Like Russell does auditoriums in the UK of 5,000-10,000 people all the time. He's on TV all the time. We'll get to work directly with him and his management team to produce something that is going to be next level, right? Something that nobody's really achieved yet. Put 4,000 or 5,000 people in a room with one comedian. I know there's people playing at it, and there's people people running the odd comedy show. Nobody's doing anything like what we're doing. We're already getting tens of thousands of views on some of our shows for comedians that aren't necessarily known. We're now going to move to hundreds of thousands, potentially millions of views over the next 6 months, and obviously that brings revenue, and it then brings a lot of attention, brings the other metaverses wanting us to have space within their worlds, their land, and the ability then to stream across the globe. The Frog and Bucket were featured this week, Andy. I don't know whether you saw the press release.
Yeah, I've seen it, Simon. Yeah.
Yes.
I think she's had a really, really busy time recently, hasn't she?
Well, they just got a National Comedy Award for the best venue in the UK. One of her friends is one of the top comedians in the UK. Hopefully she's going to get involved as well. We've got more content than we could ever want at the moment, right? We just need a little bit more funding to be able to say, right, we can employ a wider team, a bit more marketing. We want to be able to put hardware inside comedy clubs and stream live, from multiple venues, and some of the biggest venues in the world have already agreed we can do that. So I think we are genuinely, without boasting, streets ahead of anybody. Like anybody who comes and tries to do what we're doing, for a start, they won't get it, right? They won't get the fact that we're going to move to paid to view, right? People are going to get paid to watch our shows based on, they will then select the adverts that they receive. And we've talked about it many times. We've talked about the fact that Andy and I have seen what YouTube have done and the amount of revenue that they take and Google takes. And we want to move to a world, all of us want to move to a world where there is no corporate giant in control of everything and our data, what you see, what you do, and what you think to some extent. We want to all move away from that, and that is what Web3 is. And we want to move to a space where positive energy, everybody works together, everybody helps everybody, and we all work together to succeed, right? And overall, let's make everybody laugh, right? Let's provide something that's never been done before. And the opportunity for me to bring, and Andy, to bring comedy to people on a live basis that have never been to a stand-up show. It's not like we're trying to we're not trying to actually reproduce something in Web3 that's already been done in real life. Web3 is enabling a different experience that has never been available for so many people. All we need then is all the pieces to come together, like the hardware price to come down or become more available, other options for people to view through the app, etc. And then just that next step into actual real world revenue, and that will make all the difference to you guys as NFT holders, token holders, effectively, on the founding level, VIP level of this project. So look, I'm looking forward to the rest of 2023. I know the market isn't great at the moment. There's a bit of sort of sideways movement. I'm gonna ask Dranko one more question in a second if he's still there, because I want to talk about where the market's going at the moment with Bitcoin. I'm watching it, as Andy says, we're watching it on a daily basis. We are trading it on a daily basis. We think we've come up with an incredible strategy that I don't see a downside on what we're actually teaching. When we get that strategy built fully out, Andy, the number of trades that we're winning on it is ridiculous. So if you don't understand what I'm talking about there, come over and watch some of the things on 10x. We will be making videos on how that strategy works. I'm building a bot at the moment for it. Well, I've just told a lie. My son is building the bot for it, with my guidance, of course. But he's my 15-year-old son is literally a computer genius and is building that for us. And he's already built a few, and they're incredibly profitable, right? And this one I think is going to be next level. I'm yeah, you know how excited I am about it, Andy. That's like printing money.
Not if, but when we get that right, it will be like printing money.
Yeah. And that'll be in the next couple of weeks. So please, if you are a VIP and you haven't joined 10x yet, come over and join. It's not going to cost you anything. you know, everyone else who's joining is paying $129 a month, right? So you guys are getting in for free, and there's an incredible amount of value in there. And I've seen a lot. Well, I've been offered something very similar today. Well, not similar at all, actually, because it's a lot worse than what we're providing. And that is a signals and calls group with a little bit of one-to-one in it. And because I'm in the space, I get all these offers flying at me all the time on Facebook or on YouTube, etc. So I investigate all these adverts, and obviously I inquire and I want to see what's out there. The one I was offered today is $2,500 a month, and it is rubbish compared to what we're doing. Like, rubbish. Honestly, I don't want to swear, right? But it's awful, right, compared to what we're doing and offering. So look, we're offering you what would be considered a couple of grand's worth of value a month for free if you're in our VIP. But that offer will go away. Let's be clear, right? We will be publishing that list of VIPs in this next 7 days. Before, we'll make the promise that it gets published before the next AMA. Anybody who thinks they should be on it and isn't on it, please come to me privately. Don't rant in the forum, right? We will sort it out, and if there is a case for somebody that I've missed, that's fine, right? It'll be like me standing on the stage at the Oscars, giving out one of the awards for comedy and forgetting to name Andy. You know, we'll actually get somebody in if you deserve to be in. Don't worry about that, right? But hey, look, maybe I've just manifested that, Andy. We'll be we'll get there. Yeah. But Dranko, you still there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just wanted a quick, because obviously you've got your ear to the ground, probably more so than I, on the Bitcoin, ETH, whole, where the market's going. What's your feeling at the moment? Because the sentiment, to me, obviously the sentiment was it's bull run right now, but now it seems to be getting pulled out, stretched out a little bit. What are you seeing?
Well, normally I'd agree with you that, you know, I may be a little bit more in tune. These past 3-4 weeks, I have been out. I couldn't even tell you what the price of ETH is right now, plus or minus 100. That's how far I've been out of it. But
I bet you could. I bet you could have a guess, because I'll tell you whether you're right.
I'm gonna guess it's at 1,500. No, but I swear I haven't looked in probably 3 to 4 weeks.
Right. Well, I'm going to guess 1,650. But
wow.
Yeah, I think that's what it was this morning anyway. But go on.
My outlook is still. I still don't think that we have seen the bottom. I personally don't think so. And I know that's not what most people want to hear, but I still think things are going to continue to get worse.
No, and well, a lot of the people that listen to me, we rant on week in, week out. I'm of the same mind. I think we've got at least one more leg down. They want it's all the banks. We've seen adverts in the UK in the last couple of weeks for. There's an advert out at the moment for head of central bank digital currency at the Bank of England, right? You won't have seen the advert, but how much do you think the annual salary should be for that person? Well, have a guess.
I have no clue. I mean, what are we talking, 250?
Well, minimum, absolute minimum, right? They're offering 50.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's not exactly, they're not after, well, I don't even think you get a grad out of uni for that money.
No, that's a McDonald's manager. No, that's not even a McDonald's manager.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe they get some kid who knows a bit about crypto, doesn't know the inside and outside of what's really going on in the market, and well, I can't see they can't appoint somebody who's just out of uni. It's got to be somebody who's got a bit about them. It's got to be somebody, I would imagine, they've worked in one of the top accountancy or auditing practices. They've probably got a law degree. You just don't get somebody for that money. I don't understand it. Maybe I read it wrong and it was for 2 hours a week.
There was a few jobs though, Simon. There were several jobs and they were all really badly paid. It was like head of policy for crypto and stuff for the government, and it was, I think one of them was 36 grand.
Wow.
Hey, if you want to hear a joke, that's it. Like and you never know who's listening, but if there happens to be somebody from the Bank of England or Her Majesty, or it should be His Majesty's Revenue and Customs, or the Financial Service Authority in the UK listening to this recording, you guys need to be paying $1 million a year for those jobs minimum, because you're not going to attract anybody into it.
I heard you guys were stepping away from the agency, so at least somebody's hiring if everything fails with joking,
Yeah. When you see Simon Young as head of central bank digital currency for the UK, you know it's all gone to shit.
Oh Lord, no, that's depressing. It's not going to be attractive to somebody with a high skill set by any means, and I don't know too many people who are involved in doing things just to progress the space. I think everybody also wants to get paid.
Yeah, and that's true. You might find somebody who's altruistic and wants to just genuinely take a lead. I don't think they would get the opportunity though to take a lead. Can you see a bank or the government understanding or agreeing where this needs to go? I genuinely can't see how it works.
Did you see the article shared earlier, Simon? I did put it into the community. The I can't remember what he's called now. The Chancellor. They've announced, the British government, that it'll probably be the end of the decade before they launch their digital currency. Earliest 2025.
Really?
Which they want to make sure everything's done right. They're starting the consultations today. They've got a team in place.
Well, they can consult. They can consult me if you like, and they need to get a bloody move on. Because by that point we'll see it'll be whichever major government body, or it'll be the US, it could be China. Obviously that fight's going to go on. Really, if the UK government think that it's going to be 2025 or later, they're missing the party, missing the boat by a long. It's not exactly like how hard would it, I know it'd be difficult to. It's not even hard to code it, right? The security on it is already built into the blockchain. Yes, there's you got to consult on what you probably build your own blockchain. I don't know. Well, probably they do, but Dranko, what would you if you had that job in the States? What would you be recommending?
Shit!
I know it's a difficult question.
Get jobs, man. I have no clue. Hey, I have zero clue. But one thing that I did want to say, really something that's confusing me for the next, year, 2, 3 years is back in 2008 when we entered a recession, the real estate market, excuse me, I'm a real estate guy, so it didn't bottom out until 2 years after. And so I would assume the same thing is going to happen here. So we're talking 2023, bottoms out, let's say 2025. Everybody's expecting like a 25% drop overnight, which is not going to happen. But it will start to slow down, and then you'll see foreclosures trickle in. But I'm curious, how will that affect the crypto market, especially with the Bitcoin halving coming in 2024? I think it's April 24, and then the expected result of that will happen near the end of the year of 2024. I don't know, how are those overlapping things going to happen? What will happen to the market? Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Well, look, first we need, and people have stopped talking about it, but we need the war in Ukraine to finish. And, I'm sat here listening to news reports with, they're saying Putin is still going to roll a whole bunch of tanks and basically invade Ukraine. And that could happen at any minute. And if he drove his army over the border and properly invaded Ukraine, what would that do to the market? right? We'll take 10 steps backwards in 5 minutes, right?
Yeah.
And that begs even the question of, like, heaven help us, like World War III and all that sort of stuff. Touch wood, we never get to that because we've got the British government sending tanks over to Ukraine. You've got the awful situation that's gone on in Turkey overnight. I know that doesn't necessarily impact the global economy, but you've hit the nail on the head. The lag from COVID and from the war and everything that's happening is now and in the next year. It's inflation isn't under control. I heard the governor of the Bank of England saying this week that he thinks he can see light at the end of the tunnel. Well, how long's the tunnel, right? It's not 5 minutes. It's going to be the next 12, 18 months. And even then, you've got all sorts of things to resolve themselves. In terms of people's cost of living here in the UK, and I believe it's the same in the States, cost of living has gone out of control. Like, people can't even afford electricity, some people, and basic needs and food. And you've got, average families beginning to struggle now and you've got strikes, like nearly all of our public services. We've had the first strikes of the NHS. We're going to get the police. We've got teachers striking, asking for like 10-15% pay rise. Government has put its back up and said no chance, because obviously that only feeds inflation. Something's got to give. And my conspiracy theory says that a lot of this is to take over the space that we are now talking about, and to make sure it is downtrodden and almost maybe wiped out. And then, ta-da, in steps regulation and central bank digital currencies, and that true degen spirit is, that's what they don't want. And there's a lot of people in the world that the people who've got the money don't want what we are doing. That's got to be the case, and they want to make sure that they own it still, and they've got the money to make that happen. Look at like FTX and everything that's gone on in the background. I believe a lot of that was engineered, and you've got a scapegoat, right? But there is the possibility of more exchanges going. There's I don't think we've seen the washout from all of that though. Do you?
No, I agree. I think that's actually one of the big reasons I think the bottom has not been seen just yet, is when all of that happened to FTX, there wasn't a major. There was no major like red days. We did see red, but with how big that was, I expected a significant drop, and I just think it's the lag time.
You would normally have seen 2 or 3 days of real panic selling, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I was watching live, and I was looking at the chart like, wow, this just might be a great opportunity, and I couldn't believe like there was very little movement.
Yeah, which is odd. Yeah. So it only takes one event like that to bring in a whole bunch of red days. And I've been talking to a lot of people about, Andy and I have been learning a lot about the global economy and how currencies interact with each other. And talking to some of these guys up in London a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about how, because my fascination is how Bitcoin trades against the US dollar on a daily basis. Now, and try and get your head around this if you can, because it was a struggle for me until I got clarity. But if you take the British pound and the US dollar, if we want to buy oil, right, in the UK, we will buy it in dollars. So we need to buy the dollar to pay for the oil, right? And I know it's not somebody gets their checkbook out or somebody presses a button, but that's the principle, okay? And the US dollar obviously is the global currency. It's the big daddy, right? Then you've got the euro, the pound, the yen, etc. Now, all of these currencies, all of the governments that control these currencies, imagine if they were cryptocurrencies and they had the ability to influence each other purely by their own monetary policy. So at the moment, you've got, for example, the US government putting pressure on Japan because Japan have been, and I'm watching Bitcoin spike up as I'm talking. It must be me, right? But you've got the US government putting pressure on Japan because they're artificially keeping the price of the yen low. Now, because that benefits them, because everybody wants to buy from them. Now, that's fine because the global economy is controlled by governments, and these governments, they can make announcements, they can change interest rates. A bit like if a cryptocurrency immediately changed its tokenomics to make itself more attractive, right? All of that goes on, and money flows in the trillions of dollars on a daily basis. Now, Bitcoin is different because the only thing controlling it is the sentiment, or the major thing controlling it is the sentiment of the people that own it. Now, at the moment, sentiment is bullish, right? People are buying, the price has crept up, and it's got to a point where people are taking profits at 23, 24,000, just over 23,000 as we speak. Now, it keeps bubbling along that line. Now, what I'm trying to get to is, it's all sentiment. It's pretty much nearly all sentiment with Bitcoin, but what I am watching and witnessing on a daily basis is, as the news affects the US dollar, the price of Bitcoin obviously moves with it, because as the dollar weakens, you get less Bitcoin for another currency. So if I have to buy, stop me if I get too complicated here, but if I have to buy dollars to buy Bitcoin effectively, and the price of the dollar comes down, I get Bitcoin cheaper for me, right? But obviously you guys in the US, you would get Bitcoin cheaper if the price of Bitcoin drops. Now, once sentiment kicks in, and if we get one event, right, it only takes one event. Even Elon just making one tweet could send the price of Bitcoin tumbling, right? But, one global event, one like CZ from Binance says something wrong, or I noticed that on KuCoin the other day, they weren't accepting USDT, right, for withdrawal. I didn't see that in the news, but it's little things like that make me nervous. And then when we see sentiment change, you got it right, Zach, when you said you didn't see it move that much when FTX went, because did the governments come in? Did hedge funds come in? There's definitely an element of FOMO from governments and, well, the powers that be, whoever you believe that to be, right? The people who've got the money stepping into the space and supporting it and buying their way in, right? And again, you might say it's my conspiracy theory, but when I'm starting to watch the price of Bitcoin not get necessarily affected by certain things and get affected by other things, so like when we had non-farm payroll results for the US come out last Friday, you saw the price of Bitcoin move massively, like within seconds. Now, that's to do with the dollar, but it's also to do with who holds the dollars, right? And if you can get your head around what's making that, and I don't know, none of us know the answer, what's going on in the background, but I just feel there's a bit of a stink, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but, you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but there's definitely manipulation of some sorts. I thought it was funny. I saw a picture today that Sam was actually asking for his not presidential, political donations back. I thought that was pretty funny. So I have no clue. I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist. I'm sure it's all true. I just don't want to put much thought into it because everything is covered up so deep. But yeah, I think there's a lot of factors into it. But I also think that it just goes back to the most simple psychology is, going back to when everything happened, everybody in the world would think that the price is going to go down, and then the market does the opposite. So I don't think we have to think too deep. I just think it's very simple human psychology, and the market is going to react the opposite of what is the most obvious. And everything will catch up in due time.
It'll all come out in the wash. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's going back to like XRP, or Celsius and Voyager, and all of they're all caught up in court cases now, and the same thing is happening with FTX and what was the other one where millions of dollars of Bitcoin were stolen, and it's going to be it should be liquidated this year. It's taken like 10 years for it to happen.
Yeah, it's on the tip of my tongue. I know who you mean. But
yeah, but all of this is going to take time, and it will have a negative effect. You just never know when. Now it's just caught up.
No, don't start me off on the XRP and the Simpsons. That's a whole nother level of conspiracy theory for XRP to get to $589. But
you still see daily news. You still see daily news, and it reminds me of somebody that I know who had invested a bunch of money into the Iraqi dinar when the war was going on, and always thinking that it's going to be revalued and the money that they're holding is going to make them a multi-billionaire. Life is not that easy, and it's just not going to happen. It's going to take forever if it does. And I think that's the case here, is that we're just caught up in a waiting game, and there's plenty of dominoes that will fall and will have a negative effect. You would just hope that when things do happen, we've adopted more users, and it's able to, hopefully not wipe us off the earth at that point.
I've just seen Mr. Mick Foreman come onto the stage with his wolf pup. Are you there, Mick?
Hey, I am. How you guys doing?
Yeah, good. Nice to see you and hear from you. How's things?
Things are going all right, but yeah, you guys sucked me into the conversation with just looking into the future and figuring out the global markets and what the banks are doing. I can speak a little bit onto the banking side because I've 10 years in banking and just stepped out of my last banking job I will ever take. But yeah, most banks here in the States, at least in the top 10, they are in developments of their own cryptocurrencies. I know a few liaisons to the banks, I guess, mentors to the banks. Simon, you actually know one who is a consultant to one of the largest banks in North America.
Is that Mr. P?
Yes. Yeah. So they've been in development for years. So a little bit of my conspiracy theory is on why banks are offering such little pay for these cryptocurrency jobs is because they're already working on it, but they want to they're testing it. They're testing the market. They already have their side chains built or being in development and their own cryptocurrencies. But they don't want to make that public yet because still the general sentiment is maybe 1 out of 20 people that you walk into at the grocery store know a little bit about crypto, but not really. And most people that have heard about it still think it's used in the black market to a certain degree. But as Zach was saying with the real estate market, I think we're going to see a really interesting time at that point. Because of the amount of history that Bitcoin and the cryptocurrency space will then have. And real estate investors have the same mindset that actual cryptocurrency investors, successful ones, long holders. You buy an asset that earns you more assets, and rinse and repeat. That kind of asset generation, we're going to have a huge influx of business owners and real estate investors flooding into Bitcoin in 2025, just because of the halving and the history and the uncertainty of that market. I think this 2025 is where we're going to see the great divide of mass adoption, but it's still going to look different. Like a lot of people will be using cryptocurrencies and not even know it, but the businesses running behind the scenes, Disney, Starbucks, who, by the way, are all audited as banks. Starbucks is a bank. It's not a coffee company, just to let you know. But yeah, that's just my overall view, and you guys sucked me into this conversation, so thanks. I needed that.
No, great to have you on, and hopefully I'd love to have catch up privately offline if we can, because there's a lot of things obviously you and I have got in common in terms of the Wolf Den and what things are going on over there, and I think they're making some moves into Polygon. It's not such a hidden secret that now, so we're launching on Poly, so we're getting to talk to the right people. We're moving in the right direction.
You guys were holding hands in that cooperation there.
Yeah, no, and I'm still in touch with Nick, and obviously he's one of the better connections to have in DeFi. So we'll be making sure that we're working closely with them with everything that happens going forwards. I can't disclose all those details, but safe to say we've got them on our side still. Right, look, we've gone on for an hour. I'm just going to check the live chat in case there's any more questions.
Don't think there is, Simon.
I don't think there is. No. Starbucks.
I want to say something, Simon. You know why Bitcoin just went up? Because they had news from the Fed dude Powell. So every time the dude talks, it was on a Forex news day. So every time Powell talks, the market moves. So indices went up and real fast. That's why Bitcoin did that. He had news at UK had news at 12 o'clock.
Yeah,
it was 5:30.
It went up about $250. But
I just made about $150 on that on Nas when it did that, when it made that move.
On Nas?
Yes. Nas 100, yep.
Yeah, you're crazy, man, on the Nas. You'll be on US 30 next.
No, I love US 30 really my favorite, but I'm just trying to get my account so I can be, when I do US 30, I can, have a good market to do it in, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm just trying to be patient because I bought a lot of accounts messing with US 30.
You blew it.
I don't want to do that no more. Yeah, I have. I made a lot and I blew a lot. But now I'm being patient, so I do Nas, so I get to a certain extent and I get a US 30.
You're not doing a great job of advertising yourself as an educator. I'm
saying, well, I haven't did that in 6-7 months. So I'm learning. I do Nas now, and then I get US 30 twice a week because it has moves when news go through. So I just get a little money and get out of it. Yeah. I know how to do it.
No,
but I'm telling the truth instead of lying. I'd rather tell you the truth than lie.
No, you do right. We're going to be offering people funded accounts, so.
Yeah, I know I'm be what I'm getting it because I understand the trade. So I'm just saying. I was just telling you about that though.
Cool. No. Look, it moves. It moves with the news, and you do see it. Like Bitcoin in the last 15 minutes went up $250, and that's just that piece of news. So expect that to push on a little bit and then retrace. Not financial advice. Colleen, have we got anything else we need to talk about while I've got you on stage? I don't know whether she can. Oh, there she is.
I actually just read that Sammy says that somebody's asking questions in YouTube. I'm gonna try to post the questions over here so you don't have to look in multiple places. Let's see. Huh. I don't see anything. Sammy, do you have a
I can't see any questions either.
While we're
okay,
still
it says
here,
it disappeared. Like the question disappeared from the chat.
maybe somebody deleted it. But while we're still here, is there anyone that fancies coming to Miami? Just put your hand up in the audience if you are either in the area or you're already going to Miami NFT. It'd be nice to see some people there, or get some of the VIPs over there and we can get together. But I don't know whether people. Yeah, I can see.
I'm planning on it.
Yeah, so we will definitely have a few of us there to get together, and we need to plan it out. We need to work out what we're doing in terms of merch and clothing and flyers and white lists and all of that sort of stuff. So there's going to be an incredible amount of work that's got to be done before. We've only got 6-7 weeks left before we go, so there's a load of stuff got to go into that, and obviously we'll rely a lot on the team. So we're at the top of the hour. How have we managed another hour, Andy?
I've no idea.
So
I have absolutely no idea.
we literally sat there before the AMA going, well, we've got a couple of things that we need to tell people about Miami, but then we're an hour later, so hopefully it's been useful.
Well, when you talk about the world economy and wars and all that kind of stuff, that just takes over.
It does. You're right.
And I want to know what the definition of Russia invading Ukraine would be if it hasn't happened already.
So as it stands, you've got them occupying certain areas, but they are being held back and pushed back in certain places. When I say a definition of a full-on invasion, I mean they really commit a load more troops and get very serious about it. As in, if Putin decides to, it's looking like it's one of those wars that could go on forever. Not forever, but you know what I'm saying, for years. And obviously he doesn't. Well, nobody knows what's going on with Putin at the moment, because the rumours are that he's got terminal cancer, right? Who knows what's going on, right? Nobody knows. But one thing's for certain, he's doesn't seem sane. That it's not.
That's a nice way of putting it.
Well, yeah. Look, you say the word Putin on the internet, and you probably end up getting listened to by Boris somebody, and he's going to come down and inject you with uranium. But anyway, now that I'm being listened to by MI5 and all the security services across the globe, I don't agree with what Mr. Putin's doing, but if he decides to take a step further, that's what I think, you would define that as a next escalation, that nobody wants to see that.
Well, I honestly think, they just did the beef up of the forces. What was it? I don't know, 3-4 months ago, something like that. They had people, fleeing the country so that they wouldn't get conscripted, and I don't think they have the equipment to do what you're considering a full-on invasion, because I think they would have used it already. I think they would have, if they had done it quickly and done it right, obviously they probably would have overwhelmed the Ukrainian forces. But his only option at this point is is the nuclear threat, which he's been threatening. So
or chemical, which would be possibly
right.
Well, if he does anything like that, then it brings NATO into it, or
absolutely,
yeah. And then where are we? Right, so
yeah,
that's what we've all got to worry about. So you could wake up to that.
we may all need to be printing paper money before. If we have a true global escalation of war, there will be cyber attacks and electromagnetic attacks that will render computers absolutely useless. So that's one of the things that I think about with crypto is, eventually those things will, come back around, right? If they don't blow everybody off the face of the planet. But they're very, very likely would be a scenario where we would have to go back to paper money.
Colleen has now taken us into the realms of the Terminator movies.
I'm serious. Just electromagnetic attacks could wipe out everything connected electrically to the grid, and every device that uses the internet, all electronics. It could mess it up for big periods of time.
Well, you heard it here first, folks, and not that you'll ever be able to listen to the recording in Colleen's world ever again.
Colleen is taking off. They're not gonna.
Colleen's got a hole in her garden that's a bunker.
Don't be telling people that stuff, Colleen.
No, that's okay. Well, next week I'll be rolling out my new paper currency. And we'll talk.
No,
you're not one of these people who wears an aluminium helmet, are you, to make sure the brainwaves don't? You know what I mean?
No, but I was in the military, so.
Oh God, yeah. Well, maybe you may need to rejoin the way it's going. So anyway, let's end on a positive note. Let's end on the fact that we're off to Miami. We are going to be there. We're going to be putting this project front and center in front of some very important people. We're going to make a massive success of it. I think it needed us to commit to do that. It's not been the easiest because it's taken Andy and I a big step to do that, and we are, what somebody said earlier, your iron gets hotter the less you have of them in the fire. I think that's very true, and we know that, and we've got to commit. We are committing. We're going to make sure that this is massive for everybody. We're putting everything on the line for it, and let's make sure these next few weeks really do count. So I will see you all on the other side, and any questions, stick them in the Discord. Otherwise, we will see you this time next week.
Cheers, folks.
See you guys. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.